It's been a long week, but we've reached the weekend. NC State, Tennessee, it's time to put the ball down.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's Friday episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, as always, apply. Happy Friday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, nobody thinks that we can beat Tennessee. Not Vegas, not the national media, not social media. A lot of Wolfpack fans have some doubts. Tennessee fans certainly think that we have no shot. If NC State is going to win this game, there's a couple very key things that they're going to have to hit on. Let's go ahead and get into Kenton's keys.
First offensive key, be +2 or better in the turnover margin. At the end of the day, I don't think that our team's constitution right now, nor Tennessee's, has us set up for a slow grit and grind, like, oh, that's the game that we'll win type of situation. Because, again, I firmly believe that in the trenches, Tennessee is better than us defensively. Like, I don't have a doubt in my mind in terms of those multiple waves of defensive linemen they bring in. Oh, yeah, we'll do a great job against them. I will say, if we get this line playing like they did at the end of last season, we could absolutely have that type of grit and grind game. But with what I saw in game one and what I've historically seen out of NC State offensive lines early in the season, you know, I highly doubt that we are in that space to where you can win without generating some turnovers. So, you know, generate some plus field position, being in a spot where you give your offense a very short field to work with. So +2 or better in the turnover margin is the first key.
Taking care of the football in this game will be non-negotiable for NC State, and much of that responsibility is going to fall on the shoulders of Grayson McCall. We saw him get a little bit careless with that one pass. Maybe it was a miscommunication. Maybe it was just a bad throw. Cannot afford any of those against this Tennessee defense. So taking care of the football is one of the most important things if NC State wants a shot at this thing.
Number 2, Grayson McCall passed for 300 yards. At the end of the day, if he is not flinging the ball around the yard, it's going to be a very, very long day. I was tempted to take this up to 350. I really was, but we'll leave it at 300. I think that he has to get a situation where he's finding guys wide open. And not only that, I am a big believer in this game, because it's college football and the hashes are so wide, you have to use your short passing game as a bit of a running game. And it'll wear down that defensive line. Even though they come in lines, it'll wear them down even quicker because you have a situation where guys are running to the ball from a far hash. So at the end of the day, Grayson McCall having 300-plus pass yards is important because it's going to put you in positions to where, to me, it feels like, number one, we will acknowledge and not force the run if it's not there. But number two, it means we've done a good enough job of keeping Grayson McCall upright. 300 is the number there.
When our offensive coordinator, Robert, and I came to NC State in 2023, we were led to believe that this new offense would be primarily based around the air raid concept. This is the game where we need to see exactly that. Last year, didn't have the pieces. In 2024, we do have the pieces. Let it fly. Let it fly. This is why we retooled our wide receiver room. This is why there's so much excitement around this team, because we believe that we can control the field moving the ball through the air. Grayson McCall is going to have to find something within himself to let that thing rip. We talked a little bit last week. Maybe there was some nerves. Maybe there was some rust. Maybe a little bit of lack of confidence because he hasn't played in so long. You got to wipe that thing clean and let it freaking rip if you want a shot in this game. And now, time for the third offensive key.
So 2 TDs plus for Kevin Concepcion. And I know most people are looking at this like, hey, normally you're anybody but the star needs to show up. You know, be who you are for this moment. And I need KC to be the star that he is in this moment. And I say that because Anaya is no no dummy. He knows what will happen as a result of KC lighting it up. There will be extra attention paid to him. So then you get these other guys in one-on-one matchups. You say, oh, we got a freshman All-American. Put him on KC. Put him over there. Let that be the matchup, and you'll neutralize them. But then you have very unproven guys on some guys who, objectively speaking, they have shown the ability to get open at a high clip. Even at Wake Forest in limited action, Wesley Grimes was hard to cover. You know what I'm saying? Like, even Justin Jolie showed against this Tennessee team last year, hey, I don't know who you thought was checking me, but he is in fact not. He's about 3, 4, or 5 yards behind me. But lay it on me, and we'll see what happens from there. This is a situation where I'm looking at this team and I'm saying, if KC is who he is, it opens the floodgates for everybody else to do something special.
At this point, Tennessee is very aware of who Kevin Concepcion is and how he can take over a game if you allow him to run loose. If Tennessee's smart, they will do anything in their power to take KC out of this game and ensure he's a non-factor. For NC State's part of this, you need KC to be KC, as well as the rest of the cast and characters as well. Everybody's got to take this thing up a notch, but KC is your crown jewel of this offense. He was a freshman All-American. He's already off to an even better start this year than he was last. You have to find ways to get the ball into the hands of Kevin Concepcion. Your stars need to be your stars. And in this case, that is absolutely KC Concepcion. Now, Kenta, let's switch gears and move over to the defense and special teams.
Absolutely. First thing first, Tennessee is known for getting off the fast starts. They are known for just, coming out the gates, blowing the doors off teams. They were one of the best first quarter scoring teams in all of the land last year. And so hold Tennessee under 10 points in the first quarter. That's going to be pivotal for you, because it's not about whether or not our offense is putting up points or whether or not we're looking like it's a track meet on grass. To me, there is an old saying, Grayson, what does an intimidator do when he cannot intimidate?
He gets intimidated.
He gets intimidated. So if this team is known for offensively going so fast, being so up-tempo, being so excellent in their operation that they overwhelm teams early, what happens if that other team is not overwhelmed? What happens if, hey, you can go as fast as you want? That just means you're going to be off the field fast. What happens at that point in time? All of a sudden, you start trying to figure things out. And you can say, well, I'll die with going and snap every 7 seconds. Well, that's how we're going to live and die. It sounds good in theory, but if it's not working, it's not working. That's just, at some point in time, you're going to either adjust or you're going to go down with a sinking ship and then, whatever it is that we normally do, they got to figure it out, but we'll just keep at it. And I highly doubt that that'll be the case. So hold this team under 10 points, because again, if they get off to a hot start and you let them feel like, hey, we are that much better than this team, we shouldn't be on the same field with these bums, you're going to be in some trouble.
There's been a lot made of Tennessee's pace and tempo and offensive firepower over the course of this entire week, and that's for a very good reason. They will come out and try and punch you in the mouth as hard as they possibly can, meaning score as many points as they can in the first quarter. And if that works, you got a long road ahead of you. That same game plan is very likely going to be showing up on Saturday night. Josh Heupel and Nico Iamaleava, they want to take NC State out of this game as quick as they possibly can. It's extremely important that NC State can weather that storm in the first quarter and take a punch and maybe deliver one back. If you let Tennessee hit the gas pedal immediately out the gate and you're still picking up your jock strap on the 20-yard line, good luck to you. They will blow you out of the water if you let them jump ahead that quickly. So
1,000%.
NC State, they got to be ready from the word go. The first whistle, soon as that ball goes down, you better be locked in, buddy, because if not, you're getting left behind. Get off the bus, get on the field, put your cleats on, put your cleats in the dirt. I know that's PTSD for Tennessee fans, but it's relevant here. NC State needs to show up right out of the gate, because otherwise, we know where this might go.
Second key is you need one positive field flip. What does that mean? We talked about it last game, having positive territory moments. You need to have those in this game. Again, I am not a guy who believes, hey, we're going to be in a great position solely by our offense alone, and our offense needs to carry this thing alone. if we can get turnovers and or special teams plays that put us beyond the 50, if we could just get one or two of those, to me, the Wolfpack game plan to success here is not blowout. It's stay close and strike late. That's what it is to me. And if you find a moment where you can flip field position and get you some easy points, that helps in that, hey, we're right here. We're right here going toe-to-toe, blow for blow with you. And then it gives you the ability to strike late. So at least one or more field flipping plays where you end up in plus territory.
Turnover margin and complementary football go very firmly hand in hand for this game. Kind of the same idea as point one here. You have to be able to withstand this Tennessee tempo, or hopefully you can make them go a little bit too fast and force them into a mistake being made. That's where NC State has a real chance on defense. But again, that's a big if. Tennessee's polished, they're quick, and they exploit your mistakes sometimes faster than you can try and exploit theirs. So you got to find a way to flip the field and make that work to your advantage. Third key, here we go.
Sack Nico I at least 3 times. Let me tell you something. I don't care how good your quarterback is. I don't care how strong his arm is. No quarterback except Pat Mahomes looks good horizontally. And even with Pat Mahomes, that was one great horizontal pass. For the most part, when you are knocking him to the ground, he's going to struggle. So, I look at Nico and I say to myself, he did a great job of feeling pressure and kind of moving around in the pocket last year against Iowa in the bowl game and all that good stuff. He is a player that I would be surprised if he were to be an easy target to get down on the ground. But there's a reason that this is set to sack him 3+ times, because 1 sack, you could back your way into that. 2 sacks, you're getting there. 3 sacks, guys start seeing ghosts. They start, to quote the Osley brothers, they keep hearing footsteps, baby, in the dark. And I'm telling you, if you can make a quarterback hear, what's going on? I don't care how good you are. I don't care how much you're getting paid. I don't care how strong your arm is, how fast you are. If a quarterback is hearing those footsteps, I am telling you right now, not only does it distort their internal clock to where they're like, I got to get the ball out, it also messes with their technique, because now they're no longer thinking my footwork needs to look a certain way. They're no longer thinking, this is the anticipated window. They're thinking to themselves, man, I'm about to get hit. I need to be right here. It's a moment where if you can get to him 3 times and get him to the ground, you're putting yourself in great position. And here's the other thing. I talked about stopping Tennessee's offense being simple but not easy. There's definitely a chance for Coach Gibson to draw up some things that has Nico I in Solange mode. For those of you who don't know, she came out with a song called I Saw Things I Imagined. You want that to be the opposing team's quarterback if you're going to have a good time against Nico.
On Wednesday's episode, we mentioned one of the windows of opportunity in Nico Iamaleava's game is that he doesn't have a whole lot of in-game experience. Now, he hasn't really shown signs of that holding him back, but he has not seen a defense like Tony Gibson's 3-3-5. So this is where NC State's defense has to get home in this game. You have to get in the backfield and pressure Nico into poor decisions. You're going to hear Iamaleava a lot on Saturday night. If you're on the field wearing red, you need to make sure you're seeing the front of his jersey and not the back of it. You want to be in his grill and not chasing behind him. Get in the backfield, force him into mistakes. That is where NC State can exploit some relative inexperience. We hope to see some of that inexperience because we have not seen it so far on tape. He is that polished of a young quarterback. NC State's defense has got to find a way to get back there and change the story on Saturday night.
When people are giving you no shot, people are giving you no chance, you know, this is going to be a blowout. I'm going to tell you this much. Thank God you've got to put the ball down.
Yeah.
Thank God the game is not written on paper. It's not written, this team is better just because they're better and they've given some God-given right to be better. You put the ball down, play some ball.
Coming up next, we're going to get into our final thoughts and predictions for Saturday night's game before we get into Fan Friday to close out the show. Stick with us. Our first Friday sponsor is LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are just right for that role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They help you hire professionals that you simply can't find anywhere else. Even those who are not actively searching for a new job, but may be open to just the right role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even look on other leading job sites. So quite frankly, if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, they simply might not have the time or resources to hire effectively. That's why LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make this process easier. They've even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, streamlining this process. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Middle portion of our Friday show, giving our final thoughts and predictions for this big time game on Saturday night. If you watched our Thursday episode, you've already heard our score predictions, but in this portion of the show, we'll just add a little bit more depth to some of the reasoning. So I had the score of 41-27 in favor of Tennessee. Overall, I just think they'll be a little bit too overwhelming. You look at the defensive line for the Volunteers, so much athleticism, so much power, strength, speed. One of the better defensive line units in the whole country. And when you saw NC State's O-line struggle in the fashion they did last week, makes you a little bit nervous. I also think there is a real element to the fact that NC State did not play their best game against Western on either side of the ball. I do think that they got caught looking ahead. I do think they came out a little lazy, a little sluggish. They expected to roll over an FCS opponent, and then it just didn't happen. They got embarrassed for 3/4 of that game because Western, quite frankly, wanted it more than we did. And I think we were looking ahead to Tennessee. So after a week of embarrassment, you talked about McCall. He's a Charlotte kid. There's several guys on both rosters that are from this Charlotte area. It's a big time game. I'm sure they're going to have lots of family, lots of friends in this game. What better of an opportunity could you really ask this early in the season? For NC State, you're looking at big picture here. Do we need the Tennessee game in the grand scheme of things? No. But if NC State were to win this game, it puts you on the map and it sets the tone for the rest of your season. We've heard all offseason, if there was ever a team that's going to go to Charlotte twice and play for an ACC championship, it's this team.
This one.
The college football playoff has expanded to 12 teams. If there was ever a team that could do it, it's this team. We've heard it all offseason. We've talked about it all offseason. The hope has been there. The buzz has been there. The anticipation has been there. And sometimes, y'all know how I like to do on this show, I get on a motivational soapbox, and I feel it coming on here. NC State, nobody believes in you right now. And maybe I might have to put in the Michael Irvin clip of nobody believes in you. What are you prepared? I think I will put this in here.
Listen to everybody. Nobody believes in you. What are you prepared to do about it? Don't let no one come into your house, take your meal, do what you need to do today. I'm not nervous. I'm just telling you.
What are you prepared to do about it? The spread of this game is growing in Tennessee's favor. It has incrementally all week long. I think right now it's at like 9.5. Vegas doesn't think you can do it. The national media doesn't think you could do it. Vol fans don't think you could do it. Some NC State fans don't think you could do it. I just think we're at a disadvantage. What are you prepared to do in prime time in Charlotte on ABC? The whole country's watching. We've heard about the offseason. You got to prove it right now. You don't win anything in the offseason. You win it on the field against teams like Tennessee. You want to get to the end of the season and hold a trophy? It takes games like this in an atmosphere like this. You have to get it done. Show us right now that you can go get it done. That's what I want to see out of the Wolfpack.
You know, Grayson was preaching. We might have to take up an offering for the brother because those were some words right there. This is, if I had to say anything to the Wolfpack pregame, I would say this. Last time I checked, Nico doesn't do a backhand tuck double roll into his pants. Last time I checked, James Pierce, if you were to, he was to get a little Nick or Dean, he bleeds red blood just like you. Last time I checked. And y'all are being treated as if you don't have a shot. You understand that? Do you know how disrespectful that is? You got scholarships too. You got NIL money too. You got all the things that they have. You have it too. You got a weight room. You got one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the country. You got all the things. And nobody's giving you a snowball's chance in hell. Well, if I was you, I'd make it ice cold in Charlotte. I'd have folks wearing minks out there because I would make that crowd real silent wearing orange. I would make it a real long night on that quarterback because, again, I don't understand how there's this feeling that NC State is walking in to get obliterated. People have been saying that Tennessee will do something to NC State that can only be summarized by Tech Knight did this thing a lot in the boys. And I'll leave it at that. And you are like, that doesn't activate something in you. I shouldn't have to pump you or prime you for this type of game anyway, but the way that people are talking about y'all is if you're the island of misfit toy community, for crying, you're in the top 25. If you're not ready, stay your ass in the locker room. It's going to be 60 minutes. 60 minutes of everything you got. And if we could walk away from here knowing that we gave everything we had and we come up short, I'm fine with that. But if any of you walk out here knowing you left a single play, oh, I was too tight, I was too we prepared for this. We are here. You belong here. You belong in this moment. Go prove the world wrong.
My last couple words are kind of along the same lines here. Big picture, in all reality, Tennessee actually needs this game more than NC State does because Tennessee, they got to run through an SEC schedule. If they want to get to Atlanta to play for an SEC championship, they have a much tougher road than one that NC State has. So if Tennessee is to drop this game, their path to the CFP gets exponentially harder. So in all reality, Tennessee needs this game more than NC State, but I need NC State to go out and act like the complete opposite. I want to see us gun for this victory. I don't care that Clemson technically is a more important game or the ACC games later in our schedule are more important. Lay it on the line for one of the bigger games that you've played in quite some time. If NC State wins this game, this is win number 1 atop of Dave Doran's resume. There is no competition. This would be the biggest win of not only his tenure at NC State, let's be clear here, his entire career. It would be number 1 without a second thought. Let this sucker rip. Lay it all out there. No regrets, no hold back. Just let it freaking fly. I want to see NC State play fearless for 60 minutes. You have all you need on this team that was built over the offseason. Go out there and do it in front of everybody. And last couple minutes coming up of our Friday show, getting into Fan Friday, addressing some of our top comments of the week. Stick with us. And our second sponsor of the day is Gametime. Now, this is important if you're still looking for tickets for Saturday night. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier than ever before. Gametime Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to search through thousands of unwanted tickets. The curation of Gametime Picks makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, they got it. Toggling the all-in pricing feature on the app will show your total up front so you receive zero surprises at checkout. And as always, you get that panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? You already know. It's Gametime. Last couple of minutes of our Friday show. Now time to dive into Fan Friday, addressing our top comments of the week. Here we go. First one comes from Winston Lohman on Twitter. He has 2 questions. The first one is, does Waters have a 100-yard game? Second question is, what wide receiver besides KC breaks out against Tennessee? Kenton, what do you got?
No to the first question, nor Rodgers to the second. I don't believe that we get a 100-yard rushing game from Waters, but I'm okay with that. I think that their defensive line is that good. Those defensive tackles they're nasty. They're very physical, and our offensive line is up and down. It's Dr. Jekyll, it's Mr. Hyde. Which one are you going to get? Are you going to get the ones that can form a crescent when they're running zone plays? Or are you getting the one that can't block a 4-man pressure against Western Carolina? You don't know, so I wouldn't take that one to the bank if I were a betting man. Which wide receiver breaks out? Obviously Noah, because that man is a bad man, and he showed it in glimpses last game where it was like, man, if that throw had been where it was supposed to be, you don't get that from, just sheer athleticism. He understands the game. He knows how to get open and how to run routes and all that. I'm excited to see what he's got.
To answer to the first one, I don't think Waters does it by himself, but I do think the trio of Waters, Raphael, and Smothers, I think those three will cross that 100-yard barrier. However, it is very heavily dependent on which O-line we get in this game. If it's week 1 O-line, I don't know if that's going to happen. If it's last 5 games of 23 O-line, perhaps you have a pretty decent shot. For what wide receiver breaks out besides KC, he's not quite a wide receiver. I think this could be a Justin Jolie game. And this type of game, this would be extremely dangerous if you can develop a dynamic where it's pick your poison between KC and Jolie. You're not going to be able to double both of them. You could keep them on their heels here. And I think an offensive threat like Justin Jolie, this could be a game where he really goes crazy back there in the secondary. He went crazy on Tennessee last year. A lot of Tennessee fans are very aware of Justin Jolie. In fact, he was almost a volunteer. Instead, now he's a Wolfpacker. Justin Jolie, I think, is primed for a really big game here. Second one comes from our guy, Dennis Holshoe. He says, can the Wolfpack defense design enough stunts and blitz packages to put pressure on Nico to throw him off his game? Which defensive player will have the best opportunity to get into the quarterback's face?
Yes, they absolutely can. Coach Gibson is an absolute madman when it comes to drawing up blitzes. Some of his blitzes are the stuff of nightmare fuel for our offensive coordinators. The only question is, can you get Tennessee in spots where you can run those blitzes effectively? Because we all know about the pace. We all know about the tempo. If they're consistently gaining yards and you're not stopping the basic stuff, you will never get an opportunity to work some of those exotic blitzes into this situation. Now, which player will have the best opportunity to get into the QB's face? None other than your boy, Davin Van. I'm telling you right now, I think that Lance that transferred in from LSU, I think he's a good left tackle. With that being said, I believe in Davin Van to a level. Any offensive lineman in the nation, let's do it. He's a special player with a ton, and when I say a ton, I mean a ton of versatility in terms of move him up and down the line. Find somewhere where he can have success.
I think this is a really big stage for a guy like Sean Brown. And I think with Caden Fordham getting ejected so early last week, I'm not quite convinced that Sean Brown got to be Sean Brown. But in a game like this, you get Fordham back, you have Betty on the other side. I would like to see Sean Brown be the one that repeatedly gets into the backfield and turns up the heat on Nico. I think regardless, if Nico breaks the pocket, more often than not, it's going to be Sean Brown having to chase him down. So you're going to hopefully see him provide a lot of pressure on Iamaliava. Next one here comes from Mike J on YouTube. He says, I think the way that you beat Tennessee on the offensive side is to grind it out. Try and make long possessions and play time of possession. The less possessions you give a high-powered offense means the less points they can score, theoretically. Having said that, the O-line has to make some holes for the running back trio. I agree that if you get into a shootout with Tennessee, they are too high-powered of an offense and too talented to hang with them.
You know, I firmly disagree. I think the shootout is the route through which you can beat this team, because I don't think that we have the offensive line to play grit and grind. I really and truly don't. But I think if you're playing the track meet on grass, we have the receivers. We have the guys on that perimeter that I feel very, very comfortable with in terms of going up and down the field against the secondary. And the other part of this is, Grayson talked about it already, Nico's flaw, I guess, it is a something that is a spot of concern perhaps, is he has not played a ton. He has not seen all the things that Tony Gibson can potentially hit him with. So I'm absolutely going to say, if we get into a close barn burner, I'm not 100% sure that Nico doesn't make the big mistake down the stretch and the Wolfpack come out on top.
Yeah, I actually agree with both of y'all. I do think in an ideal world, you play the clock, you keep the possession, and you, in a sense, you try and play keep away, almost like a UVA basketball. You want to play really good defense and then keep the ball out of their hands on the other end. However, much to Kenton's point, I'm not exactly having a whole lot of confidence that the O-line can withstand Tennessee for that amount of time. So I do think that a track meet more than likely is the way. But to that same point, you got to be able to hang in this thing. A lot of ifs are being thrown around here, but if Grayson McCall can make the plays, the skill players can make the plays, and the O-line can hold up, we'll see what they can do. This one comes from Andrew on Twitter. Not exactly a Fan Friday, but I saw this and it was so good I wanted to include it. He says, Wolfpack Nation, I got to know. Would you rather beat Tennessee by a field goal, beat Clemson on the road by 2 touchdowns, or dismantle the Dirty Foot Club beyond recognition in Chapel Hill? But whichever game you choose, you automatically lose the other 2. Kenton, where are you going here?
I'm going up to yonder to be with the Lord, because I don't want a world where I got to pick between these 3 games. You understand me? I'm all right. Here's the thing. Anybody who knows me knows how much I hate the Dirty Foot Club. They know it. They're familiar with it. That's not a secret. Just from technicality standpoint, the Clemson game and the Chapel Hill game carry the same weight. And then you say, like, I don't want to lose any game. So I don't want to lose the Tennessee game either. But that's the only one that I would say, you know what, if we lose that one, I'm okay. I'm okay. Losing to Clemson on the road, if you had to, like, oh, it's Death Valley, you live with. The thing that hurts so much about this is a hypothetical where the third option is something that can very realistically, or not even can realistically happen. It's something I'm expecting to happen. It's so I'm expecting. There's an expectation of that. So it hurts to choose that option. But I got to go with that one because the other 2 losses is unfortunate. You hate it, but you live with that. But I'm not trying to lose to the Dirty Foot Club, man. No, I can't do it. Obviously I'd root for the Asteroid if I got to pick 2 of these games. But if somebody said the Asteroid ain't coming, the Rapture ain't coming, there's no way, you got to pick one. Give me the UNC game.
Yeah, I struggled with this one, and I think it's a really good question to ask. Now, the Tennessee game, you can kind of already rule that one out because big picture, it just simply does not matter as much as the other 2 in terms of playoff and ACC implications. And then I was like, all right, well, I've already picked us to beat Clemson on the road, and I really do want to win that game. I think if I had my choice of number 1 game I absolutely want to win this season, I would choose to go down to Death Valley and win the game. And then I was like, well, that means we're going to lose to the Dirty Foot Club. Just go ahead and send the Asteroid because I don't know if I can pick us to do that. So this is such a sucker answer, but I'm going to do it anyway. We have not played well at Clemson. And in fact, we haven't won down there since 2002. So to be honest with you, it almost feels like old news. I can't in good faith pick us to lose to the Dirty Foot Club in the last game of the season with all the implications we're trying to have in this season. So unfortunately, I would just prefer to dismantle the Dirty Foot Club. Certainly look to be doing that anyway, but man, I would love to take that Clemson game. Last one here before we get you out of here on Friday. Very important, possibly the most important question. This comes from Raleigh's Red on Twitter. They say, super serious question here, and I want your genuine, unbiased answer. Hellman's or Duke's Mayo, which is better?
Neither. Get Miracle Whip. What are we doing here? Ew.
I'll shoot you straight here. Most of the Mayo that I've had in my life, and that's a crazy sentence, has been Hellman's. I actually did not even learn of Duke's Mayo until I'd say, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago. So by default, I think I should go Hellman's. But in those last 5 or 6 years, I lean Duke's. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I don't necessarily think there's a right answer. Actually, no, there is a right answer. We're in the Duke's Mayo Classic this weekend. Duke's Mayo is your winner. But if you're using a whole lot of Mayo, that's your own problem. That'll do it for us here on Friday. Humongous week in large part to the Tennessee interactions we had on this channel. Very grateful for all of it. This is a very exciting week. One of the bigger football weeks of this entire season with the implications hanging on Saturday night's game. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Tell us what you think about this matchup with Tennessee on Saturday night. Maybe give us a score prediction. Maybe some of your own keys if you think you have a couple more that could be relevant. Anything else you have on your mind, be sure to drop that down in the comment box as well. The 2 of us are going to be down there in Charlotte. We'll be in the house for this big-time matchup. If you see us, say hey. We'll give you a go pack on the way by. We're excited, man. We're just excited for this type of atmosphere so early in this season. These are the types of games that you live for as a fan of college football. We cannot wait to get down there to the Queen City. Be sure to mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We will see you on Saturday. Big time matchup. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.